How's it going, everyone? It's Rev here from Rev's Fitness. Today I'm talking about basically why you shouldn't get discouraged if you're not seeing the results you want, in a nutshell, right? So there's a couple of things. Now I'm talking to people who are obviously trying to lose weight, who are trying to drop body fat, who are trying to build a bit of lean muscle tone, and overall are trying to do it in a sustainable manner, meaning that they can make a lifestyle out of it, right? So with that in mind, a couple of ways that I wanted to sort of address this one is different ways that you can actually measure progress, right? So I'm absolutely certain about 90% of people are just stepping on scales. So scales are okay, 5 out of 10 in terms of okay. And the reason being is that you have so much within your body, there's so many bodily functions that are going on that make your weight fluctuate. It's ridiculous. You cannot weigh yourself on a day-to-day basis. I would recommend weighing yourself once every fortnight. That's once every 2 weeks at most. Do you know what I mean? No more frequent than that. And the reason being is that the amount of water that you actually retain on different days, whether it be hormonal changes within your body and stuff like that, makes you retain more water, can bump you up a kilo and a half, maybe even 2. I've seen 2 kilos in water retention in 2 days. If you've seen like some of those boxers and those MMA fighters, those guys will drop like 5 to 6, maybe even 7 kilos overnight from water. What does that tell you? If you've got different, if you've got different levels of hydration on different days, you're drinking more on one day and then less on the other, your weight's going to be going like that naturally. So take that into account. Number 2, with your weight scales is basically that the amount of, let's say, waste that you excrete in the liquid form and in the harder form, it fluctuates a lot too. So if you're going to be weighing yourself every 2 weeks, do it first thing in the morning after you go to the toilet. But just things like how much fiber you're getting, what your nutrition is like, what's going on within your stomach and within your bowel depends on how much waste you're actually getting rid of and how much you're retaining and all that sort of stuff. You can go fluctuations with waste up to a kilo and a half. That's absolutely massive, and that's something that shouldn't put you off. I'm just trying to keep it more or less PG in this video. But other things that make your weight fluctuate is, I touched on it very briefly, is if you've got hormonal imbalances, like whether you've got high estrogen or your levels are basically out, it's a good idea to maybe even go get a spit test from a GP to try and figure out where your levels are, and then address if that's if that's an issue that you needs prioritizing. Because if your hormones are out, then naturally you retain more water, among other things, and basically you'll really struggle to try and get any sort of consistency with a drop in scale weight. Okay, so that's scales in a nutshell, and basically I hope I've sort of convinced you to try and shove the scales to the back corner for now. One way that I like to use with all of my clients is using one of these tape measures, right? And so if you're doing your stomach, you'll pull it out, wrap it around, click it on in, and you'll measure your stomach that way, right? So it's really, really good, very accurate, and it gives you a more accurate portrayal of how much body fat you're actually losing, because even though the scales may not moving, those girth measurements won't lie unless you're superiorly bloated from, I don't know, eating McDonald's or something like that. So we use tape measurements like that. We also use body composition scans. You can get them from the gym for about $30. Now these scans will tell you stuff like your body fat percentage. They'll tell you stuff like where you're holding body fat, although you probably know, but more specifically than that, if you know exactly where these proportions are, you can get an idea of which areas are going to move the fastest. That's usually the case with a lot of my clients as well. Body composition scans will tell you how much lean muscle tone you're holding and where. It'll also tell you your hydration levels, which is quite interesting. And the most interesting piece of information you'll get from it is a number called your basal metabolic rate. And that is the amount of calories that you'll burn over the course of 24 hours just to survive, just for your body to function. It needs, about 1,500 calories off the top of my head for the average Joe. And what you do with that figure is you can start to get a bit more specific about what nutritional needs you need in terms of calories, and then break down into macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats and stuff like that. Some other really good markers. of measuring progress is performance. Are you getting stronger? Did you do a strength test when you started? Are you running further for longer without stopping? Are you able to squat more? Are you able to deadlift more? All of these performance and strength markers are something that you should be tracking. They're very encouraging, they're very motivating, and they're very, very true. If you're following a really good process with your training, if you're following a good training program that's specific and individualized to you, then you'll see progress simply by following this program and being consistent with it. And basically that's a really, really good factor as to why you shouldn't be discouraged that you're not seeing progress, right? So I'm assuming because you're watching this video and you might have been following me for a while, that if you are feeling discouraged, it's more than likely to be that you aren't seeing the results you want, and the results you want or that you're tracking is more than likely to be on the scales for a lot of people. And we kind of want to, we use the scales, but let's be honest, let's prioritize using tape measurements. Let's prioritize getting body composition scans, because those take into account exactly that, your body composition, what your body is comprised of, muscle, fat, water, all this other stuff, organs, whereas weight is very biased. It's just how much you weigh and everything inside of you, how much you weigh. Do you know what I mean? So with that taken into account, don't be discouraged, if you're not seeing the results you want, because you need to try and make an effort to track results and progress in more than one way. It's what I do with all of my clients, is not just the scales. We do tape measurements, we do body composition scans, we do performance tests, we do strength tests, all of these things so that you can see changes and progress in a lot of different facets of this health and fitness journey, because that's exactly what it is, And if you want to enjoy the journey, make sure you're tracking ways to be able to measure progress in different ways, So that's all I've got for today. If you have any questions, or if you want to get involved with my 30-day Kickstarter program, hit me up on Facebook. My Facebook account is Revs Fitness, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day. See you later.